Thank you. Indeed, it's an honor and privilege to be back in the IT fraternity and the colleagues with whom I used to work very closely till a year back. And the session that we just attended with regard to the data security and the importance of information and IT security is very critical for people in the government, but the way technology is growing and the way ICT and internet and web-enabled technologies are dominating our lives, it is security, safe practices, safe internet practices, sharing of data, privacy, these issues are relevant to each and every citizen. Today, in the last session, somebody mentioned about the pace at which internet and technology has grown. The time taken for Facebook to get 1 million users, and now it's 1 billion plus, and growing fast, plus other apps, which allow sharing of data and information with, earlier we used to say with a click of a mouse, today it's a tap on a touch screen. And data flows from one part of the world to the other part. And it has great ramifications on all of us, especially the government. And as and when different government departments adopt e-governance, they build up infrastructure, they build up networks, they build up data centers, they build up systems. Ultimately, the objective is to make life easier and convenient for the citizens. But at the same time, it also brings in the risks which are involved. Very often when we look into security in the traditional sense of security, which the police used to handle, physical barricading and physical securing a place, one would actually see what's happening. In the technological domain, very often things happen without we knowing what's happening. We don't know who all are accessing our data and how they are accessing our data. And with the dependence of systems like transportation systems, airline systems, railway networks, banking systems, commodity exchanges, on technology, on internet, we become vulnerable. We become vulnerable to people who are into economic offenses. We become vulnerable to people who are into cyber offenses, cyber crimes, and we also are vulnerable to international crime. There are friendly nations, there are unfriendly nations who have a vested interest in trying to play havoc with our systems. And then there is the terrorism threat. Terrorists would not, the very common thing in the US people talk of is that the next 9/11 will not be with airplanes knocking down physical buildings. It will be through the cyber means. If somebody hacks up into the metro systems or the train systems or the subway systems, trains can collide, airline schedules can go haywire, and loss of lives can happen. Banks can collapse. Countries dependent on financial transactions can totally go bankrupt. Multinational corporations can suffer. So that way, the importance of security in infrastructure and information systems cannot be overemphasized. In our country, we have been slow, but we have been moving rapidly, and we have been embracing technology in almost all walks of life. One of the most ambitious, one of the most common projects, the UID project, seeks to collect voluminous data belonging to each one of us, including our biometrics, including our iris, and stores in the secure database. If somebody has access to this, and since all transactions are going to become UID based, there is a huge risk involved if each one of us, and including the government systems, are not made secure. There are international standards, there are well-defined policies which ensures that the systems, the networks, the data centers, the way the systems work can be secured. The IT experts, the technical experts, the vendors, the consultants are there who are there to guide us. The international protocols, the ISO 27001 and other practices are there. But the most important thing with regard to ensuring security in the government, from my experience of having worked as the IT secretary in a state as well as having worked in the Department of IT in the e-governance domain, has been that very often what we don't see seems to be not very important. As they say, seeing is believing. If most of us have not seen a major cyber attack, like maybe what Estonia suffered some time back, which led them to, somebody was mentioning about Estonia, which led them to adopt technology in a much more secure manner now. Most of us have not seen such an attack which can lead to loss of lives or which can lead to loss of money. So we feel that it's not there, but the threat is very much there. And the only way we can do is to, number one, realize that this is a problem which needs to be tackled. Number two, be aware of what can be done. Number three, start ensuring following practices. Getting the systems audited, getting the networks audited, and all that becomes much more complex, especially when we have multiple ways of implementation of projects. Some projects are implemented by the state government, some projects are implemented by NIC, some projects are implemented by under PPP mode by vendors, and then different components of our IT system are handled by different people. And the level of competencies in all these multiple organizations also vary. So how do we ensure that everyone is brought to a basic minimum level of awareness with regard to security issues, with regard to IT and information? How do we ensure that protocols which ensure that information and infrastructure are properly secured, are properly followed? How do we ensure that systems are properly audited? How do we ensure that there is sufficient budget, sufficient amount of funds are allocated for ensuring that continued security is ensured? How do we ensure that all these practices are upgraded? Because those who are trying to hack into our systems, those who are trying to beat our systems are continuously working on it. So we also need to have a continuous improvement. Very often security audits and secure systems cannot be, the scope of work cannot be defined as it is defined in a software development project. So we have to have a system in which becomes an ongoing work. Though the challenge seems to be daunting, but it's not that it cannot be done, it has been done. In fact, I have been fortunate to be working in the Department of Revenue with the Central Board of Excise and Customs. They have been the first department in the government which has been ISO 27001 certified. The Central Board of Direct Taxes operates with the income tax systems and the other networks, the CPC, where processing is done online. All that systems are there, they are continuously evolving, and there are many other departments which are adopting the secure IT systems. We are very lucky to have a distinguished panelist with us today who have diverse experience of implementing similar systems in police, in armed forces, in railways, and I know that it's a bit late in the day and we are delayed, so without taking any more time, I would like to invite the panelists who are there to share their thoughts and what they have done, what can be done, and what are the suggestions which we all can take back to ensure that we make our systems and the information more secure for the benefit of the government, the citizens, and the people.